Johnson versus Taylor Schabusiness. The appearances are the same. Deputy District Attorney Saunders, District Attorney Lezay for the state. Mr. Freilich is here for the defendant, and Ms. Schabusiness is here as well. So we're on the court's calendar this morning, not just to complete the, or just to continue with the jury trial, but I asked the parties to report at 8:15 to voir dire the last witness about the issue that came up yesterday. Is the witness here?
That witness is here, Your Honor. In addition, Ms. Danelski is also here from Green Bay PD, who may have more information about technical issues if the court has concerns. But I can address this if you want to voir dire Lieutenant Luberda first.
I would like to do that. So if you could come on up.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now before the court, so help you God. I do. Please have a seat and state your name for the record.
Jenna, Luberda, Luberda.
So, Lieutenant Luberda, we invited you back this morning to ask a few questions, and I'm going to afford the attorneys an opportunity to ask those questions, to ask some questions as well. But I was looking at the two exhibits, 99 and 100, that appear to be the extraction reports. And I'm going to hand those to you. Actually, counsel, I don't have copies of those. So she's looking at the originals. Do you have a copy that I can look at while I ask some questions? And then I'm going to give each attorney an opportunity to ask some questions, but I have some specific questions I'm interested in. If they're your only copies, I'll give them back before you ask your questions. Okay, I'm looking at these reports, and the question that I had for the attorneys is if there's a way to identify when these searches occurred. First of all, and my exhibits are not numbered. I believe the one that says searched item 35 in the upper left corner is exhibit 99. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So as far as the searches on these forms, everything that I see has a timestamp item in the far left. For example, item number 1, timestamp February 19, 2022. Does that tell me when this was searched?
Yes.
Okay. And each one of those are, each one of those search items seems to have one of those timestamp denotions on it. Can you, when I look at a Web 100, however, I don't see a similar indication as to when these were looked at. And so first of all, as far as Exhibit 100, are these searches or something else?
These are something else.
What are these then?
These are you referencing the actual photographs, or are you referencing the information?
Well, that's a good question. First of all, are the photographs affiliated with the information? In other words, you're extracting something, and these came from the phone, and all the data comes along with the photograph?
They are from the phone and affiliated with the search. However, I believe Analyst Danelski, we better able to answer that question for you as far as what's done on Google's end when I wrote the warrant.
Okay. So you're not able to, the question I'm driving towards is, how do we know when these were accessed by the defendant through the defendant's phone? And you're not able to tell me that?
Correct.
Judge, I think I might be able to clarify with a couple of questions. The exhibit that you see in front of you, Exhibit 100, that has those photos, and then they all have a date associated with them. I think of March 8th of 2022. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that is the date after the phone was seized from Ms. Schabusiness, correct?
Correct.
Now, that is an extraction report built upon the return that you received from the Google warrant, right?
Correct.
Now, did you also review an extraction report from the phone itself?
Yes.
And when you looked at the extraction report from the phone itself, were you able to find dates that corresponded with the photos of Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yes.
And when you looked at the phone itself, what were the dates that corresponded with the photos of Jeffrey Dahmer?
It was February 6th, February 12th, and February 13th.
And are those consistent with the dates of the searches for information on Jeffrey Dahmer that you saw both in the phone and on the Google warrant?
Yes.
Now, do you know why the March 8th, 2022 date was assigned by Google when you received that from the warrant?
No.
Okay. But I just want to confirm that you did two separate searches. One is the phone itself, and then there's a second that is from the Google warrant, correct?
Correct.
And the exhibit that you have in front of you, 100, that's from the Google warrant, not from the phone itself.
Correct.
Mr. Freilich, do you have any questions to voir dire this witness regarding these exhibits?
Well, I asked yesterday for copies, but I don't have them, so I'll have to take a look. Can I look at those?
Sure.
Could I approach your honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Should I call you Officer Luberda or Miss Luberda?
Miss Luberda is fine, thank you.
Thank you. This Exhibit 100, it's a extraction report, and it says Google warrant return, correct?
Correct.
And this is information that is directly from Google,
Correct.
and it shows different searches, is that fair?
Yes.
It's got like a byte size, correct, on it? Like the number of bytes?
I would have to look.
And then it's got a modified date on there, is that fair?
That I know, yes.
And it's got a source file, correct?
I'd have to look at it again.
And then it's got pixel resolution, correct?
I'd have to look at it again.
Okay. And these are basically thumbnail pictures or photos?
I'd have to look at it again.
Your Honor, could I approach?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, I see bytes, size,
It's got different categories, correct?
different categories, yes.
All the things that I just asked you about, is that fair?
Yes,
This, this March 8th, 2022 date, that is the date that the cell phone that is associated with these pictures was seized?
what is the question?
That March 8th, 2022 date, is that the date that's associated with when the phone was seized?
No,
Corresponds with those pictures?
it is not the date that the phone was seized.
Okay. What is that March 8th, 2022 date then? Do you know?
It says it is a modified, and then it has the date.
Okay. Do you know what that means, modified?
No,
Okay. I think you said these other dates, February 6th, February 12th, February 13th of 2022. What were those dates?
those were the dates that searches for Jeffrey Dahmer or Jeffrey Dahmer in some way were done.
And is that what's on that Exhibit 100?
No.
Okay, no other questions?
Okay.
Judge, I do have as an additional exhibit for the court, a report that was generated from the phone itself, which quite clearly shows the date stamp associated with some of these photos, and particularly the date stamp associated with Exhibit 101, which is the large picture that the state intended to address. So I can provide that to the court if it alleviates any concerns regarding the date of that particular photo. Ms. Luberda, I'm showing you this been marked as Exhibit 102. Can you review that?
This is the Celebrate report extraction of the device screenshots taken by forensic computer analyst Danelski.
And those are the screenshots that you testified to yesterday that you reviewed when you were doing your analysis of the phone extract itself, correct?
Correct.
And in that exhibit, are there a number of photographs depicted of Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yes.
And those have date stamps associated with them?
Yes.
And those are in the Google Photos section of the device, is that right?
Correct.
And what is the date stamp associated with the picture of Ms. Schabusiness holding a cell phone photo of Jeffrey Dahmer next to her head and smiling?
Saturday, February 12th, 2022.
Thank you. I have no further questions on that point.
Want to voir dire the witness on that, Mr. Freilich?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Luberda, does it indicate on this Exhibit 102 extraction report, created 3/2 of 22? Says that, right?
On the bottom, correct.
Okay. It says it on the bottom of page 1, page 2, and page 3. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay, nothing further. Thank you.
Just to clarify, that 3/2/22 date, is that the date that analyst Danelski created these screenshots?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, you can step down. So is the state intending to call your other witness or have your other witness?
I think only if the court has concerns on this issue and as a predicate to admitting this testimony, I could call analyst Danelski if the court wishes.
Yeah, I'd like to have her called, so.
Sure.
Okay.
What's that? You can have that, yeah.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now before the court, so help you God.
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Kendyl Danelski.
Okay, Ms. Danelski, Kempf.
Thank you.
I'm going to give you exhibits 99 and 100. And I just had a couple of questions
Sure.
for you. I'm looking at the exhibit, I think it's 100, it's got the thumbnail photos on. And we've been talking a little bit about this exhibit, and it has a date listed by each image, and that date seems to be in the third column. So the first column is just the number, the second column is the file information, the third column is additional file information, and under that, there shows a date modified, March 8, 2022. Do you know what that date is?
I believe that date is basically when Google received that preservation letter, when they grabbed that preservation and then said, okay, we're going to take a snapshot of this data here and save it. I believe that's when that data is created. I went back and looked at a couple other Google warrant returns that we've had in the past, and it was of similar correlation. So, for instance, the preservation was sent and received by Google on the 25th, and then I saw the modified dates on all of the images to be the 29th. So it seems consistent that that would be the date that when Google receives that preservation letter, that's when they're saying, we're going to create a snapshot of all of this data.
Okay. And this data on this exhibit, what is this data? It's not a search on a cell phone, or is it a search on a cell phone? Because I'm contrasting it with Exhibit 99, which seems to, on the upper left-hand corner, it says searched items 35. You see where it says that?
Yes.
Okay, this
So-
one over on the other exhibit doesn't say that. So what is this?
So the one on the left, the searched items, those are going to be Google search terms. And then the one on the right, data files, those would be images that would be under the Google Photos application. Both of these can be cloud-based, where data can be on the phone and in these applications as well. So if you were to log into a certain Google account, you could access these images from a computer as well. So
The fact that it's showing up on this report, what is that telling us about this information?
So this is telling you this is what was associated and within that Google account when Detective Luberda created that or sent that preservation letter. And the Google account can be accessed via the phone. A lot of times the data from the phone will be automatically backed up and synced to these applications. So if you're on Google and you're searching, where is Starbucks, that could go onto the cloud and translate to that as well.
So this report then does affiliate with something that was searched.
Yes.
Okay. So why does one report indicate that it's searched items, that's Exhibit 99, but 100 doesn't indicate that it's searched items?
So it's just different types of data. So the searched items would be like Googling where is Starbucks on the Google application, the Google search application, where the data files would be something like if you were to be searching on Google and save a file or download a file or take a picture on your phone, and then that's backed up and synced to the Google Photos application.
Okay, so it's something else going on the phone other than searching.
Yes.
And would there be any way to determine when that activity occurred by looking at Exhibit 100? So if I look at item 1, is there any way to determine when the phone performed a function that registered this piece of data in it?
It can, yes. So if you were to look at the photos app, the regular photos gallery on the phone, under the images from the phone extraction, so not the Facebook, or the Google warrant return, it would show a lot of these images as well, because a lot of images saved in the phone's gallery that comes installed with the device get backed up and synced to this Google Photos application. So a lot of these thumbnails and photos you're seeing here would also be in the regular gallery on the phone, which you could see going through the phone extraction.
Okay. Is there any way for me to tell from this phone whether this data was collected by this phone, say, in 2022 or in 2015?
Yes, some should have associated dates and times with them. I was looking, and some of the pictures of similar nature did have some download dates and times associated with them, which I believe were from February of 2022, which would be consistent with some of these search dates and times on the Exhibit 99.
Sure. Let me be more direct. This exhibit that the state is offering me, I want to make sure, if I receive it, that there's some correlation in time between the events in this case and the events on this sheet. And by looking at this sheet, I can't figure that out. Can you tell me whether looking at this sheet, I should be able to figure that out or not?
Not usually by looking at the sheet. We'd have to look at the original phone extraction and find some of these duplicate or similar images, and then compare them and see the dates and times in the original phone extraction. I can't speak to Google and their servers and data after that preservation has been sent to them, so I can't say with 100% certainty what that modified time is on this form. That would be for them to speak to. I can say that the zip file we received from Google, the dates and times from that zip file are matched and were correctly parsed by my program. So it wasn't my program that edited and added in these dates and times. This is what Google sent us. So the best way to decide the dates and times for these images would be to either look at the captured screenshots that I took from the original phone extraction, or to go through the images from the original phone extraction.
Not so concerned necessarily with the March 8 date, because that was after the phone was seized, that was after the events that occurred in this case. And every single item on this form has that same date. It would seem, as a result, that that was some kind of recording date that was done when you received these. My concern is whether or not there's any way to pinpoint when this information was collected by this phone. And you're telling me, looking at this exhibit, Exhibit 100, there's absolutely no way you can tell that.
Correct, we would have to look at the phone extraction and compare the pictures with dates and times.
Okay, I'm going to let the other attorneys ask some questions. Mr. Lizette.
Okay. And I'm not going to ask any questions on that exhibit. I guess I would ask, could she see Exhibit 102? Then, Ms. Danelski, after you've reviewed 102, I would ask if you could identify what that is.
This would be a report created from my device screenshots that I took from the original phone extraction.
So whereas the previous Exhibit 100 is from the Google warrant, this extraction is from, or this report is from the extraction of the device itself, correct?
Yes, these were taken after the phone extraction completed successfully, and then I manually navigated the phone.
Okay. And do these photographs in this report allow you to associate a specific date with the photographs that are depicted in that report?
Yes.
And what date is that based on your review of that report and your review of the extraction of the phone?
This one is showing Saturday, February 12th, 2022, and that will correlate with the images below that date.
So, Your Honor, what I would propose, frankly, is that the state withdraw 100 and instead admit 102, which I think more clearly allows us to associate a date with the particular photos and more specifically the photo that's depicted in 101 that the state also wishes to submit.
Okay, so my understanding is the state is no longer offering 100.
Not 100. We would want 99. I think the dates on those searches is still accurate.
Mr. Freilich, you have an opportunity now to voir dire this witness if you'd like. She's not necessarily being recalled, which is a bit odd. She's already testified.
Right.
On the other hand, it might offer someone an idea that they want to call her at some point in rebuttal or in some other fashion. But when you voir dire the witness, I just want to indicate to you, you don't need to focus on 100 because they're not even offering it anymore. Okay?
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Danelski, referring your attention to Exhibit 102, it's a 3-page extraction report, correct?
It is, yes.
And on each of the pages, it says created date, and that's 3/2 of 22. Is that fair?
Yes, that would be when I captured the screenshots.
And these are just basically shots off the internet. Is that fair?
These are screenshots taken from the Google Photos application that was installed on the phone.
Okay. There's a date, at least on the first page, that says Saturday, February 12th, 2022. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then on the last page, it says Saturday, December 18th, but it doesn't have a year. Is that fair?
Yes.
So are these different pictures from different time periods?
So the date correlation would be, so the first one, Saturday, February 12th, 2022, you would start looking at everything underneath that belonging to that date and time. And I take screenshots in chronological order, and I always try to include the image above and below just to make sure there isn't any way to say that images were skipped or passed over. So you'd want to follow along chronologically, that any image that is after the one on page 1 that goes to page 2, which then goes to page 3, would all be under Saturday, February 12th, 2022. I'd have to see the screenshot below the December one to make a decision on that one, but from the ones I'm seeing, these would all be under the February 12th date.
But the last page, you would agree, it does say Saturday, December 18th, correct?
It does, yes.
Okay. And these are pictures where? In the Google Photos of this phone, or where were these pictures found?
These were located in the Google Photos application. Photos can be added to that application in many ways. A lot of times, there's a regular gallery that's on a phone, and when you take pictures or you download pictures from the internet and save them to your gallery, they're later backed up and synced to the Google Photos application. So likely, these photos at some point were on the gallery of the phone, or they could be added by logging into this account on a computer and then adding them that way, but they still would be synced with this phone.
Is it possible that these pictures could have been downloaded and put into the Google Photos app on all different dates?
Usually the Google Photos application is going to take the same date that that photo was captured. So that photo was likely captured Saturday, February 12th, 2022. It's just going to grab that date from the gallery and bring it right in with Google Photos.
But you don't know 100% when these photos were downloaded. Is that fair?
We would have to click on that photo and click information, and then it would give the exact date and time that photo was taken, or we could look in the original phone extraction under the regular images tab, which would be associated with the phone's gallery.
But as you sit here today, these photos in Exhibit 102, you don't know what date these photos were downloaded and put into the Google app application, correct? Is that fair?
I would say the pictures were taken on Saturday, February 12th, 2022, or saved at that date or time.
How do you know that?
Because that's how Google Photos associates dates and times with pictures and images.
Can you say that 100%?
Very certain, yes. In my experience when looking at this application, it's been very consistent.
Do you have any trouble with the fact that this Exhibit 102 has February 12th and December 18th, two different dates?
No, so that likely was the order that the other pictures were placed onto the phone. So that there could have been a time lapse of when the phone wasn't being used or when photos weren't being taken or added to the Google device. The phone usually has to be connected to Wi-Fi at some point for this backup and sync to occur. So maybe the phone wasn't connecting to the internet at any point or the Wi-Fi for that to happen. I can't say for sure without looking at the phone.
And in your occupation as a forensic analyst, you see all kinds of searches. People search for bizarre things for shock value. Is that fair?
I'm going to object. I think this is beyond the scope of what we're trying to accomplish here this morning prior to the jury being present.
I'll withdraw it.
All right.
Nothing further.
Any other questions from the state?
Not for the witness, no.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
can
you.
sit down. Anything else? You want to?
Just to clarify, I think what I would ask to do, Your Honor, is recall Ms. Luberda when we come forward. I have very brief questions for her regarding these issues. I don't intend to go into depth regarding these photos. I think we simply want to put in the fact that the searches were made and the photos exist. I would ask to briefly recall Analyst Danelski after Ms. Luberda, just to clarify the technical aspects of it, if Attorney Freilich has those specific questions, because she's going to be in a better position to answer those questions.
Okay. Any objection to that, Mr. Freilich?
Your Honor, I'm going to object because these witnesses have already been called, and now they're going to be called again.
Well,
I guess if he doesn't cross on those points, I'm not concerned, but if he starts crossing on points that raise the technical issues, then I want to be able to recall her to answer those questions
well,
for the
we'll see
jury.
where the testimony leads, and then I will address that issue. Just to run through again, I've had the opportunity now to look at the exhibits that are being offered, and that's specifically 99 and 101. 100 has been withdrawn. I think yesterday I addressed some of the issues. I've had a chance overnight to frankly review the elements of the offense that the state has to prove, just in thinking through this issue. And one of those elements, of course, regarding homicide is an intent element. That's element number 2 on the homicide. And then if you look at the jury instruction, it explains to the jury what they can look at. It certainly indicates that the jury cannot look into a person's mind to find intent. Intent to kill must be found, if found at all, from the defendant's acts, words, and statements, if any, and from all the facts and circumstances in this case bearing upon intent. The second count, the mutilating a corpse, that has an intent element with it. But in reviewing what's being offered, particularly Exhibit 99 and then 100, I've indicated that items 1 through 9, I don't believe are, I'm not going to allow those to be referenced. If this were to go to the jury, I would want those redacted, because I don't think those types of references are such that their probative value outweighs the prejudicial effect. On the other hand, the items 10 through 35 relate to Jeffrey Dahmer, and you know, the circumstances of the events of Jeffrey Dahmer's homicides are frankly conventional wisdom, not just in Wisconsin, although particularly here, but other places. And people are familiar with the nature of what occurred in that case. The events, now having listened to some of the events, particularly from the coroner, about the events of this case, there's similarities. And while the court has to be cognizant of issues relating to prior bad acts, that's not what this relates to. This relates to someone's demonstrating an interest in these, and there's numerous searches. So I'm looking at 10 through 35, and all of those relate to Jeffrey Dahmer, and I think that's relevant. You know, relevance, essentially, relevant evidence means evidence having a tendency to make the existence of any fact that is of consequence to the determination of the action more probable or less probable than it would be without the evidence. And I think this really goes to that intent element. The state referenced that. I also referenced yesterday the concept of motive, and while the state doesn't have to prove that, that kind of evidence often comes in. I'm satisfied for those reasons that this report is relevant to the extent that I haven't redacted it. 101, I'm also satisfied that my findings yesterday, as well as the additional findings I made today, remain the same. I'm going to allow that to be admitted. We've now voir dired these two witnesses, and I think the status of the case is such that we would bring the jury out and have Lieutenant Luberda come back to the witness stand, because that's where she was when they left. Anything before we bring the jury in? Mr. Saunders?
No.
Mr. Freilich?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Then we'll bring the jury in. Be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I hope you had a pleasant evening. We are ready for day 3 of the trial. I think the last witness that was on the stand, Ms. Luberda, if you could step forward, please. We'll get underway where we left off. And we're going to put you under oath again here in front of the jury.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now before the court, so help you God? I do. Please have a seat and state your name for the record.
Jenna Luberda, Luberd, and David, A's and Adam.
Okay, Mr. Lezay.
Ms. Luberda, I believe yesterday we discontinued when you were discussing your analysis of Ms. Schabusiness's phone and then a subsequent Google warrant obtaining the data from the phone. Can you explain the two different searches that you did on the phone and then on the Google warrant?
Sure. The first search I did of the phone, the cell phone device itself, was done on March 2nd. And that was just the contents of the phone. And then in discussing it with computer forensic analyst Danelski, she suggested that an additional warrant could be done for further information regarding the email addresses, the Gmail addresses that were connected to the phone. And that would have been a whole separate warrant and a separate search.
And when you were reviewing the phone itself, the extraction of the phone itself on March 2nd of 2022, did you note any searches related to Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yes.
Was there one? Was there more than one? How many?
24 total searches, such things like Jeffrey Dahmer, Jeff Boyardee, Jeffrey Dahmer's butt, Jeffrey Dahmer walking into court all sexy.
And did you subsequently look for that same type of information when you reviewed the warrant return from Google?
Yes.
And did you find essentially corroborating or similar information when you reviewed the Google search warrant data?
Yes, they were similar.
And Your Honor, is Exhibit 99 available? And Ms. Luberda, what is Exhibit 99?
This is a Celebrate extraction report from the Google warrant return.
And what is contained in that exhibit?
Searched items.
And I would draw your attention specifically to items 10 through 35 on that. Are they numbered, is that correct?
Yes.
And items 10 through 35, generally what is contained within those numbered items?
The searches that I had referenced earlier, Jeffrey Dahmer, Jeff Boyardee, Jeffrey Dahmer's butt, Jeffrey Dahmer walking into court, Jeffrey Dahmer walking in all sexy in court.
And is that an extraction report consistent with reports you've generated in the past or that you've seen generated in the past using this Cellbrite software?
Yes.
Your Honor, then I would move for the admission of Exhibit 99.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, there were objections, but
Yeah.
those were noted, and I'm
Yes.
going to receive 99.
Yes, there were objections, but the court already ruled on that.
Then, Ms. Luberda, did you also, on March 2nd of 2022, when you were looking at the device extraction, did you do a search of photos on the defendant's phone?
I did a search of the device screenshots.
And what are the device screenshots?
So the device screenshots are screenshots taken by analyst Danelski of the photos contained in the Google Drive of the device.
And are those photos that she manually took herself based on the photos that were on the Google Drive of the phone?
Yes.
And did you review those screenshots?
Yes, I did.
And did you likewise see any photographs of Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yes.
Was there one, more than one?
Yes, there was more than one, approximately 10, 12, maybe more.
And did those have a date associated with them?
Yes, they did.
What were those dates or date?
The date that I remember is February 12th, 2022.
And are those consistent with the dates of the searches that are referenced earlier in the Exhibit 99?
Yes.
Is Exhibit 102 available for the witness? Ms. Luberda, what is Exhibit 102?
This is a Celebrate extraction report of the screenshots taken by forensic analyst Danelski.
So this is a report from the device itself, is that correct?
Correct.
And does 102 depict the photographs of Dahmer that we had just discussed?
Yes.
Does it also contain photographs of Ms. Schabusiness?
Yes.
What is she doing in the photographs that are depicted in that report?
She's got a cell phone next to her head. There's a picture of Jeffrey Dahmer on the screen of the cell phone, and she's taking a selfie with it and smiling like they're taking a selfie together.
And what is the date of that photograph?
That was February 12th, 2022.
And is Exhibit 101 available for the witness? Ms. Luberda, what is depicted in Exhibit 101?
The photograph I just described.
Your Honor, I would move for admission of 101 and 102, and I would ask for permission to publish 101.
Same objections as before, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm going to receive 101, 102, and you can publish to the jury.
Your Honor, I think one of the jurors has his hand raised.
Sorry, in the light again? Sure.
Then, Ms. Luberda, is the screen now depicting Exhibit 101?
Yes.
And that's the photograph from Ms. Schabusiness's Google Photos from February 12th of 2022.
Correct.
Thank you. I have no further questions of the witness.
Okay, cross-examination, Mr. Freilich.
Ms. Luberda, you had talked to Taylor Schabusiness, correct? Did you talk to her?
No.
You found out that Detective Groff had spoken to her, correct?
Correct.
And did you find that, did you find out that Ms. Schabusiness said that she was only able to
I'm
utilize
going to
her?
object, Your Honor. He's asking for hearsay information. He's not allowed to admit statements of the defendant through a witness. Only the state can elicit those things, and this witness also did not speak with Ms. Schabusiness herself.
I'll withdraw that, Your Honor.
Okay, questions withdrawn.
Did you find that a large portion of the data from this cell phone from Ms. Schabusiness was stored on the cloud?
No.
Did you put that in your report?
I don't recall.
This picture, when you were working as a police officer, you would see various images and photos on all kinds of people's phones, correct?
Correct.
People search and look at odd, bizarre things, correct?
Correct.
And based on your training and experience, people look at things for shock value sometimes. Is that fair?
I don't know if I can answer that question. Maybe.
This photograph in Exhibit 102 is basically a close-up picture of Ms. Schabusiness with a phone right by her, correct?
Correct.
You don't see any knives, you don't see any weapons, you don't see anything, correct?
Well, you see a picture of Jeffrey Dahmer on the phone.
But besides that, you don't see anything else, correct?
Correct.
And can you say that this photo was actually taken on Saturday, February 12th of 2022?
Yes.
These, did you see those other photographs of Jeffrey Dahmer and the other exhibits?
Yes.
Do you know when those photos were either downloaded or sent to the cloud?
I do not.
Okay, I have nothing further.
Redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, you can step down. State's next witness.
Judge, the next witness would be a statutory crime victim, just for the media.
Okay. I just indicate to the media, and they're acknowledging that the victim will not be shown on live stream.
Thank you. The state
And
calls.
and I just want to clarify, the other media needs to be notified too. It's not just live streaming, any other method of showing them anywhere is prohibited. Go ahead.
Thank you. The state calls Michael Thyrion.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now before the court, so help you God. I do. Please have a seat and state your name for the record.
Michael B. Thyrion.
Okay, the witness is yours, Mr. Saunders.
Mr. Thyrion, how old are you?
60.
And do you live in the Green Bay area?
Yes, I do.
Did you have a son named Shad?
Yes.
And is he now passed?
Yes.
How old was Shad when he passed?
24, 25.
Okay. Mike, I want to ask you about Monday, February 21st of 2022. Do you remember the day I'm talking about?
Yes.
On that date, was Shad at your residence?
Yes, he was.
Was that a residence that is in Green Bay?
Yes.
And at some point, did Shad get picked up by his mother?
I believe somebody came and picked him up.
Okay. And then I guess he left your home?
Yes.
Later in the evening, did Shad return?
Yes.
Was anyone with him?
Taylor.
And do you know who Taylor is?
Yes.
How do you know Taylor?
She's been at my place on half a dozen occasions.
And I guess what was Taylor's relationship with Shad, to your knowledge?
They were friends from middle school and high school.
So there have been previous times. I'm sorry.
That was my understanding. They were friends from.
And you mentioned there were previous times she was at your home,
Yes.
and you've had the occasion to speak with her?
Yes.
About what time of night did Shad and Taylor get to your home?
9 o'clock, 9 p.m. or so.
Was anyone else with them?
Yes.
Do you know who that was?
AJ?
Okay. So the three of them arrived. Did you see how they arrived to your home?
No, I didn't.
Okay. How long were they there?
Short time, and then they left.
Short time. Are you able to approximate how long?
15 minutes, and then they left, and Shad and just Taylor came back.
All right. So they came back for a little bit of time,
Yes.
and then did they leave again at some point?
Yes. And they said they were going over to Terrace.
Okay. So when was that second time that Taylor and Shad came back?
It wasn't long after they left. I'm going to say within 45 minutes.
During that second time that Taylor came to your home on February 21st, did you also have the chance to interact with her during that time period?
Small talk.
What was the nature of that small talk?
They were just they were looking for something. They were on some mission. I don't know. I was preoccupied with other things, and I don't even really remember what the small talk. Just asking.
Okay. Did you have the chance to kind of see Taylor's demeanor and how she was acting?
Yes.
Could you describe what you observed?
Nothing out of the ordinary. Just the way she was. She wasn't real speakative. Didn't talk a lot, but she was polite and respectful and always kind.
Was that sort of consistent with the prior occasions that you had contact with her?
Yes.
And then after they left, I guess that second time, did you see Shad again after that point?
No, I did not.
Thank you, Mike. I have nothing further.
Cross-examination, Mr. Freilich.
Mr. Thyrion, you live in Green Bay, correct?
Yes.
And your son, Shad Thyrion, was living with you in February of 2022?
Yes.
He stayed primarily with you, but sometimes he would go over to his mother's house on Stony Brook Lane, is that fair?
That's correct.
Your son knew Taylor Schabusiness, they were friends, correct?
Yes.
They went to middle school together?
Yes.
They went to high school together at Bayport?
Yes.
On this particular date, Monday, February 21st of 2022, your son was at home
Yes.
initially, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And at some point, someone came to pick him up, correct?
Yes.
Do you know what time that was, sir?
Uh,
Like morning, afternoon?
I don't, I thought he left with, Taylor and, AJ.
Okay. And so they all three of them they left together?
Yes.
And then, how long were they gone before they came back to your house?
Wasn't long, half hour, 45 minutes, something like that.
Okay,
I don't know, it wasn't long at all. I don't really recall, it's been a while.
okay, that's fair.
They did come back, just Taylor and Shad.
Okay. When they came back, did they get something to eat? Did they watch TV? Do you remember?
No, they said they were going back, they said they were going by Tara's house.
Okay. And do you know what time they left your house to go over there?
I want to say 10:30, maybe not even that, I'm not sure.
Are you talking AM or PM?
PM.
And then at some point, is it your testimony that they came back again?
Yeah, that's when they left again, you know, they left at, like, they were there at 9, and then they left for a little while, and then they came back, and then they left over to Tara's, and it was just her and Shad and Taylor.
Okay. When you saw Taylor Schabusiness on either occasion, did you talk with her about anything?
Just small talk.
Did she appear to be acting odd or bizarre?
No,
How about Shad?
no.
You said they were on a mission. Do you know, what do you mean by that?
I don't know, they just seemed like they were talking about, you know, going somewhere or doing something, and I'm not really sure what was going on. I was preoccupied, and you know, and then they left shortly, you know.
Okay, nothing further. Thank you.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, thank you. You can step down. State's next witness.
State calls Detective Kevin Kempf.
Okay, you just step up right over here, detective, and turn and face her. She'll place you under oath.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now before the court, so help you God.
I do.
Please have a seat and state your name for the record.
Kevin Kempf, Kevin, Kempf as in Frank.
Okay, Mr. Saunders, the witness is yours.
Can you tell us how you're employed?
I'm employed by the City of Green Bay as a member of the Green Bay Police Department.
And do you have a current assignment with the Green Bay Police Department?
I'm currently assigned detectives,
How long have you been employed in law enforcement?
just over 27 years.
And how long have you been assigned specifically to the detective division?
Currently since 2017.
Detective, I want to ask you about February 23rd of 2022. Did you become involved in a investigation of the death of Shad Thyrion?
Yes.
And I guess generally, what was your involvement in the case?
My involvement in the case was to assist Detective Groff in an interview.
And who did you interview?
We would have interviewed Taylor Schabusiness.
And for the record, do you see the person you know to be Taylor Schabusiness in court today?
Yes, I do.
Could you point out where that person's sitting and what they're wearing?
She would be sitting to your left. She's wearing a black suit coat with a multicolored shirt.
I'd ask the record to reflect the witness identify the defendant.
It will so reflect.
Prior to the interview of Ms. Schabusiness, did you have the occasion to view her physical appearance?
Yes, I did.
Did you note any potential cuts or injuries to her?
Yes, I noted a cut to her left thumb and some superficial cuts to her hands.
And is that something that you subsequently documented in some way?
Yes, when I took photos of her, I also made sure I documented the cuts on her hands.
Show you what's been marked as exhibits 103 through 106. I'll ask if you recognize those exhibits.
Yes.
And what do you believe those to be?
These would be photographs that I took of Ms. Schabusiness's hands.
And those appear to depict Ms. Schabusiness's hands as you observed them in the interview room on February 23rd?
Yes.
And when, on February 23rd, would this contact have occurred? When did you begin the interview?
I believe I took the photos at approximately 6 a.m., and I think the interview started at about 6:30 a.m.
All right, so this was before the interview?
Yes.
All right. I'd move 103 through 107.
Any objection?
No.
103
Six.
through 107 will be relayed.
Sorry, Judge, 106.
106.
And then I'd ask permission to publish as well.
Any objection, Mr. Freilich?
No.
You can publish 103 to 106.
Okay, and then it'll be in front of you, but also behind you, whatever's easiest here. So are we observing photograph 103 at this point?
Yes, you are.
Okay, and what does this depict?
This would be her left hand. There's a superficial cut in the palm below the thumb, and then you can see the cut on the thumb partially from a side view.
And then exhibit 104, is that what we're looking at now?
Yes, it would be. That would be her right hand and a superficial cut in the palm of her hand.
And then 105,
This would be the cut on her thumb, her left-hand thumb.
and then 106.
106 is kind of a superficial cut on the index finger of the left hand.
Okay. And then at some point during the interview, was Ms. Schabusiness transported for medical care with respect to the thumb?
Yes, when she requested medical care, she was transported to the hospital. Before that, she declined.
Okay, and did you accompany her during that visit?
Yes, I did.
And I guess, was there an attempt to have maybe the injury stitched up in some way?
Yes, we brought her up to get stitches or get medical treatment, whatever they felt was necessary.
And was that done ultimately?
She did receive medical treatment, but they did not give stitches due to the time.
What do you mean by that?
Apparently it is, if it's outside the 8 or 12 hour frame, the stitches can't be put in, it doesn't work.
Okay. And you had contact with Ms. Schabusiness about 6 a.m., you said?
Yes, so that's about when I started taking the photos.
When you, I guess, first encountered Ms. Schabusiness and were taking those photographs, what kind of clothing was she wearing?
At that point, she had like a black spaghetti strap top, I believe, on, and some black leggings, more tighter spandex, I guess.
And were her clothing items subsequently collected by law enforcement?
Yes, they did an initial collection of the outside clothing, and then I also had those items of clothing collected from her.
Okay. And I guess was a female officer involved in collecting the inner clothing items?
Yeah, when the clothing is collected, she's actually removed from the interview room to a room where it's not recorded, and a member of the same sex would be with them when the items are collected.
And was that done in this case?
Yes,
And then the clothing items that were, I guess, collected from Mission Business, were those subsequently entered into evidence?
yes, they would have been entered into evidence.
And that include the sweatpants or leggings or pants material that you talked about?
Yes.
Okay. After those photographs of Mission Business, did you participate in the interview of Mission Business?
Yes, I did.
And which other officer was with you?
Detective Groff.
During the course of the interview, did both of you sort of interject at some points and ask questions?
Yes,
Okay. Have you had the chance to review that February 23rd interview of Mission Business?
yes, I have.
Okay. And that appeared to be fairly and accurately and consistent with your interview, as you recall it, of the defendant?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Morning, Detective Kempf.
Morning.
So on February 23rd of 2022, you were contacted by the lieutenant at about 4:13 a.m. to come and assist? Is that true?
Yes, that'd be approximate time.
Were you told to go over to 829 Stony Brook Lane?
No, I was requested to come to the station, that we were all going to meet at the station at that point.
And from the station, then you went to the house?
No, when I initially arrived at the station, I was asked to assist in interviews.
Okay. Did you go to the home at all on that particular day?
It would have been later that day that I would have went to the home.
You went to the home after the interview was taken?
Yes.
Tell me, when you got to the station, kind of like what occurred? What were the events that happened until you got into the interview room?
Basically, as I'm coming in, I called one of the supervisors to try to get a quick briefing, try to get some more additional information. When we arrive at the station, they give us a briefing of what is known at that time, and then job assignments are given out by our supervisors, and they ask us to do what needs to get done, and they start formulating a plan on how to go about the scene.
And what was your job assignment?
My job assignment was to assist in interviews.
Was it to assist Detective Ruff?
With Taylor Schabusiness, yes.
Okay. So when you got to the Green Bay Police Department or the station, was she there already?
She came in, I believe, about 5:30. She was brought into the interview room.
AM?
Yes.
Okay. And was there some things that had to be done before you started talking to her? Like taking pictures and things like that?
I believe Patrol did snap some initial photographs, and like I indicated, I believe they took initially her outer clothing items.
Okay. And then she was put into like a suit?
That would have been after I took my photos. I took additional photos,
Okay.
and then she was, when we collected the inner clothing, because we were taking all of her clothing, she was placed into some type of clothing that we had, which was basically a Tyvek suit at that time.
Okay. It was early in the morning. Did Taylor Schabusiness appear to be tired?
She appeared to be no more tired than I was. I mean, she was able to talk, able to speak to me, understand.
How about her eyes? Did they appear to be odd, like where she was having difficulty seeing?
I wouldn't say that she had a hard time seeing. It didn't seem like that.
Did she have any slurred speech?
Not that I noticed.
When she was talking, was she making sense?
Yes, she was able to hold a conversation and answer questions, and it seemed to be coherent about what was being said and asked.
Was she calm?
Was she calm?
Yes.
Yes.
So then at some point, Detective Groff took some swabs, correct?
Yes, we would have swabbed her hands shortly after the photos were taken because there was some discoloration on her hands that appeared as it could be blood, so we decided to swab the hands.
And Mr. Saunders asked you about those exhibits, 103 through 106. Ms. Schabusiness did have cuts on her hands, palms, and thumbs, correct?
Yes,
And the substance that was on her hands, you don't know where that came from, if it came from the cuts or something else, correct?
I do not know, no.
Okay. And then, so then you and Detective Groff proceeded with your interview of Ms. Schabusiness, is that fair?
Yes,
Then at some point, you took a break, correct?
there were several breaks taken during the interview.
But then there was a break where you, where you had her go to St. Vincent's Hospital in Green Bay for some medical treatment of these cuts, correct?
Yes, I believe that was around 9:30 a.m. approximately. It was about 3 hours after the interview started, give or take a little bit.
So 3 hours later, approximately?
Yes, is when she asked for medical attention.
Did you accompany her to the hospital, or how did that work?
Yes, we had a MARC squad transport her up there. I rode up with her in the MARC squad, was in the room, or just outside the room at points, because I had to step out when they were changing her. And then when she was transported back, she was placed back in that MARC squad, and I rode back in that MARC squad with her.
Was Detective Groff with you when you went over to the St. Vincent's Hospital?
No,
You took her by yourself?
no, it would have been myself and another officer.
Okay. What time did you arrive back at the Green Bay Police Department?
I believe it was about an hour or 70 minutes later, off the top of my head.
Okay. Maybe around 10:30 or so?
10:30, 10:40.
And then you proceeded with further interview?
There was additional interview done.
Okay, I have nothing further. Thank you.
Redirect?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Detective. You can step down.